I posted a video a couple months ago explaining how I was able to triple my income overnight by working 2 full-time jobs. Recently, one of the most well-known financial gurus went on air to give his opinion about what I did. And in case you don't recognize him, this is TV personality Dave Ramsey. He has a nationally syndicated radio show that teaches financial literacy to a massive audience of 2.5 million followers. Here's what he had to say.
I don't know why we have to juxtaposition employers against employees. I want to work from home where I don't really work, but I'm at home and I still collect a check. And oh, by the way, I've got 3 of those work at home jobs now, which means I'm now stealing officially from that employer. Go ahead and get 3 full-time jobs while you work at home, get paid by all 3 of them for working full-time, and you obviously aren't.
While you sit on your moral high horse.
That's called stealing, okay? That's a lack of integrity, to say the least. You're a thief.
So here's my side of the story to clear my name and finally end the debate as to whether what I did was right or wrong. As a longtime fan of Dave Ramsey, I followed much of his advice over the years. Everything from his best-selling books to the courses that he offers about managing finances. Because I aspire to get out of debt and build wealth just like the millions of others that he's helped. So when I heard what his opinion was about me and what I did, I can't lie, I was taken back. See, this whole trend of working multiple full-time jobs at the same time, also known as overemployment, has caused a huge social debate at a national level. This brings me to the first point to cover about Dave Ramsey's rant. Is working more than one full-time job wrong?
Go ahead and get 3 full-time jobs, get paid by all 3 of them for working full-time, and you obviously aren't.
Now, ironically enough, I actually got the idea of working multiple jobs from Dave Ramsey. A method that Dave teaches is called the 7 baby steps, which is a proven process that people can use to get out of debt and start building wealth. And in many cases where a caller on the show would be struggling to make enough money to start paying off debt, Dave Ramsey would usually give this type of advice.
I don't want to work like 2 jobs, and I mean, if I have to, I will, but I just feel like I can't afford it.
You have to. Until you get a better job, you're going to be working 2 or 3 jobs. I am qualified to tell you that 33 hours a week is not enough to work when your family's just broke. Your husband needs to get 6 more jobs. Your first goal before you start the baby steps is get current. That may mean selling stuff. It may mean having a garage sale. It may mean taking extra jobs, 16 of them.
Now, there's a lot to unpack here, but overall, in my opinion, there's nothing wrong with working more than one job. And the research from multiple sources seem to support the same idea that working multiple jobs is completely legal. So why do Dave Ramsey and the rest of the nation have such a big problem with this?
I don't know why we have to juxtaposition employers against employees. The truth is we're supposed to love each other. I'm supposed to love them well, and they're supposed to love us back and do their work. Do unto others as you have them do unto you. Love your neighbor as you love yourself.
Now, based on Dave's statements here, a lot of the issues seem to revolve around loyalty. But I truly feel that in most cases, an employer's best interest and an employee's best interest conflict. Now, if an employer genuinely has your best interest in mind and loves and cares about your personal well-being, then I certainly understand and agree with a certain amount of loyalty being built into that business relationship. And if Dave Ramsey runs his organization that way, then I fully agree with his viewpoint. But let's be honest that most companies don't have our best interest in mind. I personally have been working in corporate America for over a decade, and over that time, I've seen countless good employees lose their jobs simply because it looked better on the company's budget. And a lot of the time, these decisions were made without giving the employees any notice, which left entire households wondering how they were going to make it through the month. So it's really hard to think that an employer has our best interests in mind when these types of things occur. But like I said, that's my personal experience, but let me know in the comments if you've ever experienced anything like this or not. So if you wanted to increase your income and that called for changing jobs, picking up multiple jobs, or starting a business or side hustle, I don't feel there's anything wrong with it, even if some employers might view it as being disloyal. Now for the most controversial part of this argument. Is working 2 full-time remote jobs stealing?
I'm at home and I still collect a check. And oh, by the way, I've got 3 of those work at home jobs now, which means I'm now stealing officially from that employer.
Now there's a couple different ways to look at this. If you were to go by the textbook HR department definition, what Dave is referring to is known as time theft. And this is essentially when an employee accepts pay for any time that they were not actually working. Examples of this would be things like taking personal calls, taking extended lunches or breaks, or spending time on social media or non-work related websites. But could you imagine tracking every single second that you're not actually working just for the sake of being a model employee?
What are you doing?
You had said that you don't do anything personal during work time, so I'm just making sure.
I think that's a pretty unrealistic expectation. The other thing to look at when considering time theft, especially for salaried employees, is that we usually work tons of hours that we're technically not being paid for. In my career, there have been countless times where an urgent deadline or deliverable needed to be met. And it was the company's expectation that either me or my team would do whatever it took to get that task done, including working evenings, nights, weekends, and or holidays, even though we weren't getting extra pay for the extra work that we're putting in. Let me know in the comments if you've ever bent over backwards for an employer and got nothing in return. So do I think that working multiple jobs or having a side business is stealing from my employer? I don't. To demonstrate further, do me a huge favor by answering this question. If you were running a business and you had an employee that was always on task, never took any unscheduled breaks, and was never away from their computer, but they always delivered subpar work, and you also have another employee that takes excessive breaks and often seems off task, but they always deliver stellar work on time every time. Let me know in the comments section if you would keep around employee A or employee B. Now, if you answered that question like I did, it helps prove the point that it's not about the physical time that you give an employer. It's more about meeting your job expectations by satisfying deadlines and consistently delivering quality work. Like I mentioned in the beginning of the video, I successfully worked 2 full-time jobs simultaneously, and I did that for a year. And if I wasn't doing good work and meeting both companies' expectations, I would have been fired without question. So what do I think about how Dave Ramsey labeled me?
That's a lack of integrity, to say the least. You're a thief.
To be honest, I'm still a big fan and I follow a lot of his advice. Because the fact of the matter is, if you want to accomplish anything significant in life, you have to stop caring about what other people think about you. And I truly believe as long as you worry about other people's opinions of you, it's always going to hold you back. And if you have the determination, I would actually encourage people to start a business or pick up a second job if you're so inclined. Because it's afforded me the opportunity to clear out all of my debt, pay off my house, and start building means of passive income so I can enjoy more of my life. And if you also aspire for a better quality of life, consider liking this video and subscribing because that's what my channel is all about. But there is something that you need to know if you consider working multiple jobs to accomplish this. Regardless if you feel it's morally right or wrong, you can still get fired, which is what was about to happen to me when my employer found out that I was actively working for another company full time. Go ahead and click into this video next to see what I mean, because things got wild.